honor to welcome you all to this special academic session. We are privileged to host Professor Kadambot Siddique, Hackett Professor of Agriculture Chair and Director at the University of Western Australia, a distinguished global leader in agricultural research. Professor Siddique is globally known for his pioneering contributions in crop improvement, research in plant physiology, and sustainable dryland agriculture. His research has shaped agricultural practices and policies worldwide. He has worked on crops of agricultural importance, including wheat, chickpea, and brassica, with his research areas focusing on topics which are timely and support in making agriculture more resilient and sustainable. Besides leading a huge research group, his academic legacy includes more than 1,000 highly cited scientific papers, books, and book chapters, with more than 78,000 citations. Professor Kadambot Siddique is globally renowned for advancing biochar based innovations that enhance soil health, improve crop productivity, and promote sustainable, climate resilient agriculture. It is not possible to summarize Professor Siddique's vast and extensive body of work in just a few words, given the remarkable depth and global impact of his contributions to agricultural science. I would like to request uh, Professor Chandradeep Tandon, Additional Pro Vice Chancellor, Amity University, and Dr. Nutan Kaushik, Director General of Amity Food and Agricultural Foundation, to welcome Professor Siddique with Tulsi sapling. I would now look. Okay. I would now request Dr. Nutan Kaushik ma'am to give her opening remarks.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. अभी जोश नहीं है. Good afternoon. Very good, excellent. Thank you. This is a post-lunch session, but nonetheless very important session because we are very privileged to have Professor Siddique here, who is a renowned world scientist. And yesterday only, I received a newsletter from UWA announcing that he's #1 scientist in Australia. Please give him a huge clap. In agronomy and crop sciences. And he is also one of the top 256 scientists in Australia. And UWA is #1 agriculture university in the world ranking in Australia and #5 in world ranking, #9 in world ranking. So we are very fortunate to have such dignitary with us, and he has offers from so many private universities, so many national universities, but he chose Amity because of your love and affection, because of his love and affection to you. So please give him a big clap for selecting, having him for whole one day is very, very important for us, and we value your presence over here, Dr. Siddique. And I would like to say that before we go forward, I would also like to wish him a very happy birthday. Today is his birthday. Thank you, sir. So this is again makes a very important and auspicious occasion for us. So he has chosen a very important day for us. So it shows his love and affection for us. Thank you so much, sir, for doing this favor to us. I would not like to say much word because it's, as she has rightly mentioned, it's very difficult to summarize in one, in even in five, in whole book. We can write a whole book about you. So I think people can go through the Google and then they can come to know what you are and where you stand. I think so. I will not go into the introduction, but I'll just go briefly about our relationship. We just developed this relationship when I joined Amity University in 2017. So there was a delegation, though we had an MOU with them, with UWA long time back, but Dr. Siddique expressed his wish to collaborate in collaboration in agriculture field. Then Dr. Gurinder Singh called me, and then I joined, and we had discussion. And since then, we are friends, and we have doing to work together. we did one project together, this Asia Pacific Network project, where we had the participants from Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Australia, and India. So it was a very successful project, and we successfully completed it. It is accepted. Our technical report is accepted. Our financial report is accepted. That shows that we did it very successfully. And now this year we are going to, in the second phase, we are proposing the second phase of that project. Hopefully we will get it. So thank you, Dr. Siddique, for all your support. And he has also, I think, apart from the agriculture, he has also been instrumental in having other collaborations with other departments. When he shared his list of publication, I was surprised. There's so many, 16 publications, more than 26, I think, publications have come together where agriculture is nowhere. And 10 in Lancet. So that was that so shows like it's not only the agriculture, but UWS collaborating with so many things, so many institutes, and we don't even know. And Manish also came as a surprise to me when when he came to me, ma'am. It's the same Dr. Siddique जो बायोचार्ट पे देने वाले वही सर डॉक्टर सिद्दीक है मैंने कहा हाँ वही सर डॉक्टर सिद्दीक आ रहे हैं I received an email from him that he is coming to Amity University. So thank you, Dr. Siddique. You are such a popular and most popular scientist over here, and I hope your guidance will help the students. I will request you, please feel free to contact him. He is very open. He will receive immediate reply. He is not that kind of professor who sits with the email. He will immediately reply you if you have any interest in going, if you want to seek any guidance with reference to your research, with reference to your studies, with reference to an internship or the any kind of fellowship opportunity or a going abroad opportunity, writing scientific paper, writing proposals. He is very kind. He helps everyone. And today he showed me one paper which he corrected. I think only he accepted only 10 lines out of the 15 pages. So that's kind of correction he does. So, so, so thank you so much, Dr. Siddique. I'll not go forward, but I think we should listen to him because you all are waiting to listen to him, not to listen to me. So thank you so much for, again, I will, from bottom of my heart, I thank you and I welcome you to Amity University. And we hope that we'll continue to celebrate our relationship forever. Thank you.
Now, I would like to invite Dr. Chandradeep Tandon, Additional Pro VC, Dean, Faculty of Biosciences and Biotechnology, to deliver his opening remarks.
Thank you so much. On the behalf of our Honorable Founder President, Sir, our Chancellor, Dr. Atul Chauhanji, our respected Vice Chancellor, on my own behalf of Dr. Nutan, all faculty members, all HOIs, I once again, first of all, outside, very, very happy birthday to you, Dr. Siddique. Let's again, put our hands together for that. Well, Dr. Siddique, I was just, I was talking to him and I realized, and Nutanji also emphasized that he is an all-rounder. He's been working in all the fields. He spoke to me about medical field also. So, Dr. Saab, we will be looking forward to interacting with you in that particular field also, as I told you, in field of proteomics and all soon. And I'm, today's topic, biochar for sustainable agriculture and environment, is extremely timely as we confront soil degradation, climate stress, and the urgent need for the low carbon resource efficient solutions. We all know biochar. I think lots of people are working in the field of biochar, and in biotechnology also, our institute, there are lots of faculty members working in this field. It's an emerging as a transformative soil amendment that can significantly enhance soil organic carbon levels and restore degraded lands. Additionally, biochar's long-term carbon sequestration potential positions it as a vital tool in the climate change mitigation. I'm sure this lecture by Dr. Siddique will provide meaningful insights into integrating biochar into practical farming systems. Across the world, farmers are facing today soil degradation, loss of organic matter. Biochar offers a practical and science-based solution to many of these challenges, and we are looking forward to listen to each and everything, the whole story, how it started, and what are going to be the future prospects from you, Dr. Siddique. So, presence of Professor Siddique today with us reflects the strong and growing academic partnerships that Amity University continues to nurture with leading global institutions. Such engagements not only strengthen our research ecosystem, but also offer our students and faculty a unique opportunity to learn from world renowned experts. I am pretty confident that today's session will stimulate fresh perspectives and inspire collaborative initiatives in sustainable agriculture and climate resilience. With this, once again, welcome you, Dr. Siddique. I will not stand between you and Dr. Siddique now, so it is his turn. Sure, thank you.
So just a line.
Yeah,
It is now my privilege to invite Professor Kadambot Siddique to deliver his lecture on the multifaceted role of biochar for sustainable agriculture and the environment. Please, sir.
Can move his chairs from here. Yeah, all chairs can be moved. Because otherwise. So good afternoon. So thank you, Professor Nutan Kaushik and Professor Tandon for the kind introduction. Again, it's a great pleasure for me to come to Amity. In fact, our collaboration started way back. So I was responsible to bring our Vice Chancellor a couple of times. And when we were looking India, a lot of people said in my university we'll go with IITs and the kind of thing. So we came here. I didn't know anyone. And then we met your group vice chancellor, Professor Singh. And then we talked and we had lunch. And I said, hey, I would like to meet someone in agriculture. I was not aware that Amity had agriculture. So then as Professor Kaushik we met and we said we should start doing things. So there has been a number of things done. There was internships. Students came into our medical school, done some work. Some of the papers have come. And of course, COVID restriction has stopped that. We continued our collaboration, but we could do better. So I'm still not happy with what we have done together. So there is more potential. I think research collaboration will lead to projects, which we have in a small way. We should aim for bigger projects. And then we immerse our master's and PhD students within that program. So this will continue. Otherwise, it becomes just a small activity. But I think we have got all the elements here. People within biotech, agriculture, medical technology, environmental science, and then leading into good programs in undergraduate degree programs, honors, masters, and PhD, and that will clearly helpful. So once again, thank you for the hospitality today and picking me up from the hotel. And I thought I'll talk each time I come, I give different talks. We had many talks in this lecture theater. So I'll talk about biochar. And I have strong interest in biochar because I'm a crop scientist and I believe in enhancing the soil carbon, soil moisture, soil microbes, etc. So the outline of my presentation is I'll give a brief background about my university. Some of you, particularly Newton, has heard it, but it's important, those who haven't heard. Then what is the multifunctional value of biochar? And we use meta-analysis for many research. Not only these, there are a couple of papers now coming in Nature Communication this week and next week, not on biochar, but other aspects we use meta-analysis. I think it is important that students should be taught this analysis so that you can get thousands of papers in a topic, distill that into maybe 300, then again distill into maybe 50 to 100 solid papers, synthesize that into some key forward-thinking strategies. Soil health, physical properties and processes, chemical fertility and nutrient interaction. Finally, the biological activity and function. So that's the whole aspect. It's not only the physical, chemical, but biological. And then that leads to crop production. And I'll draw some conclusions. If something is not clear, raise your hand. We'll stop there and then we'll take some questions if required. So I come from this part of Australia that is called Western Australia, which is a very large state. It is the second largest state in the world. So the first one is a place called Yakut in Soviet Union. So probably as big as India, that state, and we have only just 3 million people. Huge vast of land. And Perth is the capital, beautiful city, and it is one of the most, if you like, people say isolated city, but I don't see that way. When the astronauts went into the moon, we asked people to turn on the lights in Perth, and then astronauts said it is a city of lights. Because between Perth and the nearest city is Adelaide, that's about 3,000 plus kilometers. So you could see from there. But beauty of Perth is that Perth is the same time zone as 60% of the world population. India only 2.5 hours difference with Perth. China, it is exactly the same time. Then Indonesia, almost similar. Japan. So we are lucky in that sense because we can do business. And Australia is very expensive, but Perth is still most affordable, but it's expensive. We have huge mining operations there. If you remember, anyone studied the largest gold mines in the world, Kalgoorlie and Coolgardie are the gold mines. That's only 500 to 600 kilometers from Perth. Still going on. Diamonds, iron ore, you name it, the richest uranium deposits, and more importantly, lithium, and of course, the critical minerals. There's a huge amount of that we have in mind. So a rich resource. On the top of that, we produce about 50 to 60% of the grain crops of Australia. So agriculture and natural resources abundant. And then, of course, you know, other parts of Australia like Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, and so on. And we have a small island state called Tasmania. So the population of Australia is only 26.7 million. And population of Kerala, where I born, it's 35.3 million people. So this is a beautiful campus. So I don't think there's any campus in the world as beautiful as this. So this is the Swan River, two rivers joined together. And this national park is 650 hectares, the largest national park in the world in the middle of the city, if you like. So walking distance to the city. And this is where my office and laboratories are located. My postdoctoral fellow who is joining soon, Nishi, she's here. She's going to be located somewhere here in a nice apartment. The prestigious Forest Fellowship she got. And she will work on microplastics and plant function. A very global university and internationally recognized. We are 77 in the world in QS ranking, last ranking. Academic ranking of world universities, we are number 1 in agriculture science in Australia, number 9 in the world. We are part of the Group 8 universities. There are 39 universities in Australia. Group 8 leads the pack, research-intensive universities. So in other words, we have teaching plus very high-quality research. So it's like, you know, Ivy League and so on in other parts of the world. So, of course, that doesn't mean all universities are not good. There are a lot of pockets in various universities, but we are now 114 years old. We are established in 1911. And just again, Professor Tandon mentioned about our medical school is very strong. Professor Barry Marshall, the Nobel laureate in 2005 in medicine and physiology, is a close friend of mine. He just retired. He's an emeritus professor now. He's the man who discovered stomach ulcer is caused by a bacteria called Helicobacter pylori. Prior to that, people thought that ulcer is caused by drinking alcohol, smoking BDs, or stressing out. But then he was dissecting as a young researcher the patients who died with the ulcer, and he was dissecting simple microscope. He found that bacteria was floating in the stomach fluid. You know that stomach fluid, the pH is something 3, very acidic. So he postulated the hypothesis that this must be the cause. So no one believed. And he started arguing. All the medical professors and GPs and others said, no. So what he did, he made a cocktail of that bacteria from a dead patient, right? And then he, with the permission of his young wife, he drank that. And then he developed the classical symptoms of stomach ulcer. but he treated that himself by antibiotics because being a medical doctor. Nowadays, the Nobel Committee doesn't allow that because that's dangerous. But anyway, wonderful person, very interesting character. I've traveled with him many parts of the world on promoting science and technology. I won't talk about my institute. This is the institute I have been leading for the last 20 plus years, leading place. We don't have agriculture universities in Australia. So agriculture, like here, part of the normal university. Not all Australian universities have agriculture. So when I first joined for my PhD at the same university, I was surprised because Australia is a very agricultural country. Why you don't have agriculture universities? I did not understand. After 1 year, I understood that having agriculture as part of a normal university, we can do multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary teaching and research. Whereas if you have agriculture universities, they become inbreeding and they don't really go for innovation. And that's very sad nowadays in India. Of course, it was established way back when it was needed. Now that is not the case. So I'm so happy that we don't have an agricultural university in the country. And you can, this should be 2004, that's an old slide, so you can get the 2004 annual report. Now, as I said, number 1 in Australia in agriculture science, number 9 in the world. This is purely based on metrics, not based on survey. QS and time rankings are based on surveys partly. So the papers you publish, where you publish, the citation of the papers, the fellowship of the teachers, academy, and the amount of money you bring in. So that is really turned into the machine, looks into that, and then turn into that. So you may ask, who is the number 1 in the world? The number 1 used to be Wageningen universities. Now the Chinese beaten them to death. So China Agriculture University is number 1. And the second one is also my very close university, which I spent a lot of time, Northwest Agriculture and Forestry University. And the third one is only Wageningen, and fourth one is Nanjing, and so on. So the Chinese have done very well. They're all gone. Just forget about those ones. It's not only that, in other areas like Peking University, Fudan University, Shanghai Jiaotong University. So they invest in talents, they invest resources, they want to be the number 1 in the world. Believe it, that's happening. So I do collaborate extensively with them. And this is the slide we were talking about, some of our collaboration. So you can see in agriculture science, the top one is Northwest Agricultural Forestry University. I started Chinese Academy of Sciences, Institute of Soil Water, CAS, Indian Council of Agriculture Research is coming up, and so on. So we have done extremely well over the years, and this is only 2015 to 2025, less than 10 years. And if you don't publish less than 25, it doesn't even come into the radar. Yeah, but that's how, because my program will not take it. I try to squeeze in 22, 23, and so on. So basically, you can see how wonderful this collaboration has helped us to move forward as well. Now, the other thing is that young people, only way forward is that international collaboration, because these are bigger topics. You cannot do it yourself in your lab. You have to collaborate within the University Amity. You have to collaborate within India. Then you have to jump in. This is my personal collaboration over the last less than 10 years. And there are two things. One, it's all over the world. But the size matters. So, for example, my size here is bigger. That's with China. And not too bad with India. That's a personal collaboration I built up. So people just said my CV, this and that. These days, I don't do work in the lab. It's all to do with my PhD students, postdoctorals, collaborators. But I know my science well. And so this is where, Nuthan, we need to really enhance a better collaboration. Otherwise, we will be still sitting there. That's my personal one. This is some of my PhD students. Again, I'm taking a huge number of PhD students. At the moment, there are 30. Not all of them that are not there in that list. I got an exception because I said, do you take anyone else? And they just gave me an exception because either the students want to work with me or I have the money to support them and there's no one. So, for example, Nishi must have wrote to many people. Many people would not have responded. I respond to good candidates and average candidates and bad candidates. Either I can take it. Now I told my university I cannot do it because I cannot get any sleep. I spend every week with my students, and then you need resources. So my challenge is now to finish off these students. Yeah. So the answer is that they won't allow, but this is exceptionally they allowed. But many of them are different parts of the world. All of them are fully supported by scholarship. So that is the beauty about it. They don't need to do nighttime job. Now, the other two slides I'm going to say is that my university has been very conservative about international students. The total international student cohort is only 20%. Whereas if you go to Sydney University, Melbourne University, they are big. 60% of the students are from international. But now my university made a decision that they want to open the campuses in India. They decided to start in Mumbai and Chennai. It's a bold decision. If you ask me, I have my own reservations, but it's going to take a lot of time. But they're going to focus on commerce, then computer science, etc., where it is laboratories are not needed. Those students have to study in India. They cannot come and study in Australia, like after 2 years. Then we have to employ staff here. We're just employing a pro-vice chancellor to lead this campus. So it will be in Chennai and Mumbai. Depending upon the success, it will expand to other places. But I have my own reservation about it, but I must show that. And so already done, UGC, University Grants Commission, is very, very strict. They want to start by August 2026. So a lot of effort going on. And before we go, I think one of the things missing, we were talking this morning to your faculty members, that we don't integrate. This is a paper we just published, a journal called The Innovation. Impact Factories, I think 29. So keep an eye on this journal. And what we're saying is that much of what we're doing is not integrated. Hence, we are not making an impact. So you can read that because there's a lot of technology available in India. If you look at people who have done research, it is sitting in silos. The challenge for the Indian agriculture is to bring that together so that we can move forward. So if you look at the planetary health, we describe there 3-goal food system. One is environmental sustainability. You have environmental school here, and that's absolutely a must. Soil health. Earlier, we were all talking about the soil structure, soil chemistry, and so on. Now the soil health is coming to that. We all want to get the food security. The question then is that what are the key interventions? So you can see here, precision nutrient management, crop diversification. I'm giving some examples. Fertigation. So this is giving the percentage of, if you like, the weightage. Then it's organic amendment. You have a lot of interest here. Again, that has got importance. Then if you look at the nutrient use efficiency and microbial activity, that's huge there. Integrating legumes in the system so that we can get free nitrogen, that's important, 18 to 65%. And the technology integration, that is conservation systems, bioenhancement, and all so-called digital technology. That's how we synthesize that paper, which gives a strong message. Which country you take it, there's a lot of research done. Who is integrating? One of the reasons is that the funding is short term. Number two is that we don't bring the right team, including the socio-economist, into that. And that's what I'm going to talk with Dr. Amal Jat on Sunday lunch. He's the Director General of ICR. If ICR can't do it, no one can do it. Bring and look for some mega projects within the country, take some lead researchers within the country, and empower them with resources and say, we want to make changes. Otherwise, we'll continue to do these published papers and life goes on. And in that, we talk about the 3 pillars. One is more food. The second one is healthy soil. The third one is the fewer emission. So if I gave this talk about 10, 15 years ago, this pillar would have been missing. No one cared about emission. We always want to produce more food. Soil health was also less important. So within the more food, you can look at the crop diversity, cultivar mixtures, precision ag, climate smart farming. We were talking about that today, this morning. Cover cropping, vertical production, intercropping, deficit irrigation. Then soil, you can look at aggregates, endophytes, erosion control, no-till, organic amendment. So all the area which you are doing is there. Emission, CO2 and nitrous oxide, and all that things are important. Then carbon-nitrogen ratio. So I encourage people to read that paper. It is free online. With that background, let us now look at the topic, multifunctional values of biochar. So the biochar is in the middle. It's a carbon storage, which is it's all carbon. Second, it can pollution control. We talked about the heavy metals. I'll come back to that. It's a catalyst. So it really chemical reactions. Animal feed, we talked about that. Dairy cows, if you give them at the right dose, acidosis can be reduced and milk production is increased. Soil amendment, I'll talk about that, and nutrient microbial carrier. And there's a lot of other industrial function we can add. So there are products available now. So this is one of the papers I did with some of my postdocs and others. This is called Biochar for Crop Production, Potential Benefits and Risk. This is a very highly cited paper published in 2017. Now, I talked about meta-analysis. Meta-analysis can be used to identify and compare common treatments, effects, multiple studies across regions. So, for example, this is an analysis shows here means no change. If it becomes negative, it becomes positive. So, in this case, soil compaction is reduced by application of biochar, or hydraulic conductivity is increased, which is very good, and microbial biodiversity is increased. So this is a powerful analysis which you should learn. So it provides a quantitative information on the effect of biochar application on changed soil properties across different environments and treatments. Then that gives some message for you to take it either for action or further research. So that is based on, in this case, 367 publications. And it was grouped into physical fertility, chemical fertility, and biological fertility. Very simple. And the message is very clear for you and to take it to your students. Okay? So then, if you look at the number of publications increasing, and it is increasing, even there is a journal called Biochar, which has got an impact factor of about gone up, 13? Yeah, 13.5. We published there when it started, there was no impact factor. Yeah, so again, you can see that some of this analysis shows the biochar comes in and its effect, etc. I think these techniques are important for students to understand and do that kind of analysis in the topic you are talking about. So use data from around 367 publications. It's a kind of literature review, but it is more quantitative than qualitative literature review. So I think we should teach these kind of things here. I'm sure that it can be done by the proper package. Now, biochar versus soil physical properties. Let us look at that. So in this case, PR, the penetration resistance, which is shows the compaction. Hydraulic conductivity is the movement of the water. Clay content, which shows the texture. Aggregate stability, and water-filled porosity and bulk density. In all cases, it is positive, and this negative means it's good, and it's also good. So the biochar application clearly enhanced some of the soil physical properties using the meta-analysis. Okay, so I've already stated that. It's very simple, very clear, not coming from one study, but multiple studies across the globe. Can you see it from there? You may move that, I think. This is a review where we did work on the biochar soil acidification as a global meta-analysis. Again, our group looked at it because biochar has got the properties of alkalinity. So if you apply in an acid soil, it's like lime, it can do that. Let's look at that. So we looked at the spatial distribution of the trial sites. Each set, at least one data set, regression analysis, R program was used, soil pH, longitude, latitude under biochar application. So it's a global analysis. And what you see here is that biochar mitigate acidification in most cases. So in other words, if you apply in an acid soil, the pH is increased. Average annual precipitation is positively correlated with the biochar limiting effect. Okay? Biochar induced soil pH change depend upon biochar pH. The feedstock we talked about this morning initial soil pH, and cation exchange capacity. So the biochar liming effect is greater in paddy fields, rice fields, than drylands, because the paddy fields, the acidity is more, it's a compacted soil, it is also submerged in many cases. So the type and amount of nitrogen fertilizer types affect the biochar limiting effect. That's also important. So that's what we understood from that study. This is, I think, Manish, you are involved in this, I think. Yes, this is another study where we looked at soil acidification and liming potential of biochar. So if you have an acid soil, generally in India, we recommend lime, but sometimes lime is limited in various places and expensive. So here it is the schematic of interrelationship of soil treatment by biochar for reducing acidification. So basically what we're saying is you apply biochar and produced through pyrolysis conditions, then exchangeable acidity and also soil solution, and that lowers certain cation exchange capacity and so on. So the liming effect is acidity correction, and once you acidity correct, then the nutrients will be retained, and aluminum is part of the soil acidity. So that aluminum element toxicity is reduced and also controls the nitrification. So in other words, nitrous oxide emission will be also reduced. So the multi-role of biochar is very important. I have not covered other things like lower the cation exchange capacity, toxic metal leaching, and toxic metal uptake by plants can be reduced by application of biochar. On the top of that, we are storing carbon. This is carbon for a long time. So the carbon sequestration of the soil, the right kind of biochar will remain longer term. So that is good for the environment. So when we look at it, soil pH on the y-axis, control means no lime. Then we applied 0.5 biochar. Then we applied 2% biochar. And there is some lime treatments we have also done. So this is no lime treatment. The details are here. Then 0.5% biochar, right? Then, so we went and applied on this treatment those things. So for example, this is control, no lime, but we applied 0.5 biochar. Then on this one, we applied 0.5 biochar. So what is the additive effects? You can see that, So you can see here, all on a sudden, when you apply 2% biochar, look at the effect of the soil pH. So soil pH from here, we have been raising all the way here. But if you applied lime only, this is up somewhere here, right? High rate of lime. So the effect is there. Very clear, simple. Now let us look at biochar aging versus water holding capacity. What is aging means you can keep the biochar longer and in the soil. So here we have the following treatments. Water holding capacity in percentage, then sandy soil, and also we have got clay soil. Control, green, and then fresh biochar is red, and aged biochar is the black. So you see these two things. One is aging helps to improve the water holding capacity in the sandy soil as well as in the clay soil. And in the clay soil, it is happening better because it has got a better cation exchange capacity and retention. Very clear. So summarizing that, fresh biochar can be hydrophobic, whereas aged biochar increases the water holding capacity. This question is asked by farmers, so we need to understand. The effect of biochar on water holding capacity of soil was higher in sandy than clay soils, as you expect. Not in absolute terms, but other terms. Okay. Now, chemical properties. So we wanted to look at some of the chemical properties such as trace elements, copper and zinc, magnesium, calcium, sulfur, potassium, phosphorus, nitrogen, negative charge, and also, more importantly, the cation exchange capacity. So the percentage change in chemical properties, 0 means no change, and also negative. In all cases, the biochar application has increased the properties fantastically, including pH. So very clear. So Some people criticize when this. No, it's alkaline. That's what we want. Because otherwise what happens, your nutrients are not available. So the people, yeah, please. Yeah, but in biochar alkaline soils, depending upon the feedstock, it may not change the pH. So it's fine. It will not increase beyond. So the effect will be there. So other benefits are still there. Which are there. Okay. But the main point I want to emphasize is that when you try to have a new technology, new product, unless you describe the science behind it, then they can't understand. That's what we should do. Don't say this is doing better. Then we need to understand why that is doing better. And if scientifically we can do that, then we are in a better position to replicate that in different environments. So the biochar application improves soil chemical fertility such as pH, cation exchange capacity, and nutrient contents. That's what we want. This is another study. What we have done is that nutrient enrichment of biochar. So what we have done is that biochar sample prepared from manure feedstock can contain high levels of nitrogen, phosphorus up to 7%, and K up to 9%. So what we have here is that poultry, cow manure, horse, and so on. And then nutrient content is shown there. So we were talking this morning, it's not just the biochar effect, etc. The feedstock, what we're looking, can be important. So the other thing is that I can mix that. For example, if I got a wood biochar, so then the poultry manure I can mix with the wood biochar and make a different kind of products. So this is good study. I think we have covered this, isn't it? No, that was the water. This is the nutrient retention, because nutrient retention is very important. So if you look at here, the sandy soil, clay soil, sandy soil has very poor nutrient retention. It's all get leached out. But as you increase the fresh biochar, aged biochar, it is improved up to 30. Yeah, so you can keep it. So it could be 2 years. So prepare the biochar and keep it for. Yeah, it's all in the thing. So what we're saying is that you have a fresh biochar as soon as you produce straight into the field. Then you can keep 1 or 2 years. Yeah, rate also we have looked at. Yeah, it's coming. That depends upon, I'll show hopefully. So biochar addition increased the nutrient retention capacity of soil. There was no significant difference between fresh and aged biochar on the nutrient retention capacity.
Sir, sorry to interrupt you, sir. Why the aged biochar is more efficient than the new?
Yeah.
Any reason scientific?
We'll come back to that. Okay. Then effect of biochar on nutrient retention capacity was higher in the sandy than clay soil. We all know that because sandy soil has very, very poor capacity. So the answer to that is, so the number of properties on the aged biochar changes compared with, so we'll come back to that. Then nitrogen transformation and nitrate leaching. This is a very important problem. So here we have done some experiment with one of the students, and you can see the control. Urea applied, right? Urea plus nitrogen inhibitor, okay, slow releasing, urea plus biochar. So basically, look at the leaching. You apply a urea, majority is lost by leaching or by volatilization. So only 30% of the nitrogen applied in India is used by plants. The rest is lost. And of course, there's a lot of products in India and elsewhere called nitrogen inhibitors. It's expensive. No, in this case, we didn't look at that, but we have other studies we're looking at it. But the main point I want to illustrate here is that just the biochar alone, what it has done. So sure, we can do biochar. You can have the nitrogen and coat with the biochar, and then you can have that. So one of my students is working on it. So I have already said, so this is attributed to the nitrate absorption and immobilization, if you like. That is the chemical property. Some of these properties increase with aging. Yeah, it is a slow release because the plants mostly you apply at the time of planting, many farmers, and there's no roots, etc. If it is held back through the micropores, macropores, and many other straws, then when the roots needed it, they take it. So it's a partly that. The other reason is that cation exchange capacity changes, the pH changes. That means the retention is also better. So it's a compound effect, not directly slow release. Now let us look at nitrous oxide emission. So here we have got control, urea, 25% gone, 25 milligram per kilogram gone, urea plus inhibitor, and then look at the urea plus biochar. So significant reduction in the nitrous oxide emission, which is attributed to decrease in nitrate source and a change in soil water content, which is explained here. So that's the reason why it happens. So two things. One is interacting with the nitrous oxide production in soil. Now, let us look at the next component is the ammonia volatilization. When you apply nitrogen, a significant amount is lost by volatilization. So you got ammonia volatilization, then you got in the time in days when you farmer apply, and as you can see here, that is the BC1. The pH of that biochar was 6.2. BC2 is a pH was 10.2. That based on the feedstock we mentioned today. Then you got the control. So look at that. The loss in volatilization is quite high. So it also depends upon the pH of the biochar. So we need to work on that. And the reason here is illustrated here. We have got yeah, sure. Because in an acid soil, it will acid. Yeah. So 10 yes, 10.2 is higher than the control. Yeah. So it does. And then the reason for that is biostatistician has shown both to increase or decrease ammonia volatilization. That depends upon increase in ammonia volatilization is attributed to increase in soil pH. The decrease is attributed to increase in ammonia absorption. So that's the two key chemical properties there. So we need to play with that. Now, nitrogen dynamics is another one which we have to look at it. So if you look at biochar application impacts nitrogen transformation such as leaching, I mentioned that, gaseous emission through physicochemical absorption, one area, biological immobilization, I'll come back to that, nitrification inhibition, and changes in soil pH properties, example pH, soil water content. So we have gone through that. It is not one single thing. These are the factors which helps us. Again, I won't go into the diagram, but the diagram shows that how this operates. Now, moving on, phosphorus is another important element which is applied a lot and it is locked up in the soil. Acidic soils, aluminum and manganese bound. In the alkaline soils, the calcium bound phosphate. So the challenge is how can we enhance their bioavailability for the plants? That is a challenge. So on the x-axis, you've got the anion exchange capacity, and on the y-axis, you've got percentage of N or P leached. So leaching is happening, both phosphorus and nitrogen can get leached. So what you have found? The decrease in leaching of anions, such as nitrate and phosphate, is attributed to absorption, precipitation, and immobilization. That's what's shown here. High in calcium and magnesium precipitation of calcium or magnesium phosphate. So that's the phenomena there. Now, if you go into the biochar and phosphorus dynamics again, without showing all the details, biochar application impacts phosphorus leaching through physicochemical absorption, biological immobilization like the nitrogen, and precipitation involving biochar-induced increase in calcium, magnesium, and pH. And now let's look at the next element, potassium. Potassium is not that mobile compared with the nitrogen, but still there's quite a lot of happening. And countries like India, now we are facing potassium deficiencies coming after number of years of cropping. So here percentage K or ammonium leached and the cation exchange capacity. As the cation exchange capacity increases, the leaching is reduced. So the decrease in cation such as potassium and ammonium leaching, is attributed to, again, adsorption due to an increase in cation exchange capacity. So basically, biochar increases the cation exchange capacity. That helps the absorption of the potassium in this case, and then that reduces the leaching. And this is another review we did on soil health. This is a review on modulating soil biological health. So basically, if you look at the representation here, you can see from less nutrient holding capacity on the left-hand side without biochar. This is with the biochar. So in all cases with the biochar, retain moisture and lock nutrients, porosity and aeration, plant growth, evapotranspiration is reduced, enhance root colonization with the number of microbes, pot holding capacity is increased, disease resistance is improved because better root growth and better health, cation exchange is increased, and better soil health. So the details are in the paper, and this is based on actual data we have been able to synthesize. And again, the synergic effect of biochar and biodata. So again, the pore space architecture of biochar impact the habitats of microbial. This morning we were talking about the ultra microscopic study shows that the biochar has got various crevices. Those crevices are places where the microbes can hide and protect well so that from any toxic elements or various. So they find it as a home, and it's also full of carbon. Carbon is a rich source for food for the microbes. Co-location of carbon and nutrients in biochar promotes microbial diversity. There's a lot of DNA studies shows that. Biochar alters soil properties, creating ideal microenvironment for microbial growth. Finally, the presence of toxic contaminants in biochar can limit microbial function. This is what we're saying today. If the biochar is made from some heavy metal contamination, that's something which we have to be careful when we look at the feedstock in manufacturing the biochar. This is another study where we looked at microbial carrier for agriculture environmental application. So basically, if you look at immobilization process of biochar and immobilize the microorganism, their application in agriculture. So microbial immobilization process like covalent bonding, ion grid formation, surface absorption and pore filling, and electrostatic interaction. So there's a biochar is the black one, and the microorganism is in the colored one here. And what does it do it? So basically the application promotes plant growth, nutrient availability, and remediation of contaminated soil. So there is enough evidence that if you apply biochar in some of the contaminated soil, it can help to remediate to some extent because the interaction with the microbial activity and microbial toxicity is reduced. So another meta-analysis we did biology, biochar and soil biological health. So what we looked here is the DHA, dehydrogenase activity enzyme. MBC is a crowd estimation of the microbial biomass carbon. So you don't need to know the phylum, it is the total microbe. And if it is high, that means there's a lot of phyla in it. Then substrate-induced respiration. Respiration is very good, and basal respiration. So in all cases, what we can see, 0 means no change, and on the right-hand side, it is a positive change. So biochar application improves soil biological activity as a measure of basal respiration, substrate-induced respiration, microbial biomass carbon, the total and enzyme activity. So again, the point I want to emphasize is that you need to understand the basic science behind it. Otherwise, it becomes snake oil. You know, in India, there is a lot of products sold by many companies and saying that this will increase the yield by 200%. The poor farmer buy that, but you don't know the concentration of nutrients in that particular solution. The poor farmer takes that and apply on a small area, and they get very high yield. But when you go and look at that, the total nutrients is maybe 400 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare. So there is no scientific basis for that. So this is what something we as researchers not to accept biochar, but our job is to digest and understand if there is any positive effect Why? If it is negative effect, why? Once that is done, it becomes a technology stand with all kinds of environments. Of course, you need to know what is the moisture, pH, etc. Now, we were talking about soil, physical, chemical, etc., nutrients. Now, let us look at quickly the biochar enhances microbial activity. So, you got this uncontaminated, this is contaminated. So, without biochar, with biochar. So, DHA was less in copper contaminated soil. Biochar input increased the DHA, and the effect was more pronounced in the case of contaminated soil. So, you can see that there is an effect, but look at the effect here. Significant effect. If you didn't have the biochar, you have big problem of a healthy soil and producing anything from that particular soil. You have such soils around Delhi. If you go into some of the peri-urban agriculture where the farmers are planting their vegetables and leafy vegetables around, I'm sure that will be all lot of contamination over industrial activity, etc. So very simple. Hope you understand that. Now, I mentioned to you about the biochar and the crevices and all structure of this is based on microscopy work. And so the co-location of various resources in biochars, sorption and inactivation of growth inhibiting substances. So those things, because of the pure structure, it helps. And the colonization of microbes in those, if you don't have that kind of thing, where do the microbes is exposed to very toxic environments. This is another work where we looked at the agriculture practices regulate enhanced biochar induced soil carbon pool and crop yield, because up to that time I didn't mention about the carbon. So here is the location of the trials or the papers published using meta-analysis. And for example, some cases, they only did a soil incubation study, which is in the laboratory. Then some people did only in the pot. There's nothing wrong in that. Then we also got field experiments. So it's a combination of studies done in controlled environment, what we call soil incubation study. The second one is a pot experiment. You bring the soil, you do in the glass house, and the other one is field-based study. So the meta-analysis allows us to explore that and get some robust conclusions. So if you look at here, the various soil properties, soil organic carbon, microbial carbon, and dissolvable organic carbon, POC, crop yield. And so earlier, people keep on asking about the yield and then total soil nitrogen, carbon nitrogen ratio. I don't need to explain overall response. And you can see that 0 means no change, negative. And we see the number of observations, nitrogen is increased, so SOC is increased, MBC is increased, DOC is increased, and so on. And the number refers to the number of observations. So it is very, very significant. And again, that is presented in the figure. So, and this really indicates that the application of biochar is definitely helping all those parameters, whether it is in the glass house or in the incubation study or in the field study. And even crop yield, I'm mentioning here. So, for example, the crop yield is increased significantly. And here is some of the data. You can see in this case, it is the R of SOC and then and the crop yield. So some positive relations there. Then we also have got, again, from different environments, how the yield increases occurs. In some cases, we haven't got the yield increase, but generally giving the positive increase comes. That depends upon the number of years it has been applied, the rate which Newton has asked, some cases 2 tons, some cases 5 tons. But the beauty of biochar is that you don't need to apply that every year. So you apply once a year and the lasting effect is for a number of years. Again, we have looked at the studies to do that because otherwise the farmers won't be able to afford and then do that every year. Yeah, we have done that too. So it's not only that, we looked at number of years, the value of that biochar, number of years of the effect, etc. We have gone and measured some of those things. And here it is again, Nutan, you said application rate and cotton and sugar beet. This is the work I have done with my colleagues in Northwest Agriculture Forestry University. And we have some interesting result with irrigation and also mulch technology. So basically, we have field plots test of cotton, then plastic mulching, and then we got sugar beet, and these are the two crops we looked at it, and just showing a pictorial arrangement. So then our framework was a field test, measurements. I show all the measurements we have done here. Then interaction effects, we also looked at it. Then how biochar application affects soil chemical environment. What is the most applicable biochar amount considering soil quality and improvement? That is the rate. So this is a very comprehensive study, and went and looked at some new technology where we can look at the spatial variation within the furrow, between the furrow, etc. In this case, looking at sugar beet, soil at sowing 2018 and at harvest and so on. This is the sodium, because this sodium,
So did you use the imaging technique for this one?
so we have got the radar type of thing going and mapping the place,
Mapping
and then
the
that image is used.
Image is used
Yeah, in
for
the real data. in the
real
data.
time imaging.
Yeah, and the sodium varies because majority of the sodium is coming from irrigation water, because these are irrigated, and that can affect the variability in the yield. So our,
Is it only for sodium for all the elements?
no, you can look for other, but in this
Other
case we were
elements.
looking the sodium as an example. You can look at chlorine and all that.
Okay.
So then we looked at the potassium content during seedling and harvest stages of cotton, another cation. Again, look at that and the technology where these are all student projects. And then we looked at the number of things, SOC and different depths. We looked at soil salt content over time, showing the influence of various biochar application rate. So what we want to know is that how does this vary from season to season and within the plot? Now, this is another work similar to that. In the same province, we looked at cotton and sugar, optimized biochar application. Again, these are the kind of field experience we had. Irrigation, it's actually in the field. Then, for example, A is for cotton, B is for sugar beet. Then you got the years 2018, 2019, and 2020. Then CK means for control. Then 10 units of biochar, 25 units of biochar, 30 units, 50 units, 100 units, because we want to get the rate response. And you can see clearly that very high rate is not necessary. So you're looking something of the order of 10 units is overall giving the highest yield.
What is the meaning of continuously?
A continuous year means you are going from one year to the other. So
every year we have to apply this 10 tons.
yeah. So, but then we have got only 1 year applied, and then we went and looked at it. So we had a combination. Every year applied, then we applied only once, then looked at the effect, etc. To unravel whether we need to apply. Okay. This is another one. Of course, a lot of soil scientists doesn't go beyond the plant growth, but the crop yield, carbon sequestration, that's a question someone asked. Global warming potential of straw and biochar application, again a meta-analysis. So the standard is farmer apply the straw as it is, and then we looked at the effect of biochar. So this was done again. NS is straw incorporation with chemical fertilizers. NB is biochar combined with the chemical fertilizers. So there are two treatments. Treatment one is normal straw after the harvest applied with the normal fertilizer. The other one is biochar combined with the chemical fertilizers. No straw there. And all the experimental sites are given. So it's quite a big experiment, diverse environment in China. And when you look at number of parameters again, we can see that here, this is the maximum temperature, precipitation, crop type, crop land, SOC, soil pH, total nitrogen, and soil bulk density. And then you got to see the straw is in blue and the biochar is in the other color or green color. So you can see that generally speaking, application of straw is good for most of the things, whereas the biochar enhanced that. Again, the number of observations are given. So the key finding, incorporation of straw, NS, and biochar addition significantly increased crop yield and SOC content. NS increased nitrous oxide, methane emission, resulting in high global warming potential. Whereas if you apply NB, significantly reduce the global warming potential. The greenhouse gas emission was reduced because when you apply nitrogen after microbial activity, significant amount of CO2 can be emitted. The same study, this is now shown here. Again, you can see that straw is in blue and biochar is in green. So biochar reduced all that what I mentioned. The temperature, MAP, pH, and initial soil content significantly affected SOC and global warming potential. But generally, the biochar reduced that. Now, soil organic carbon stock and also annual SOC sequestration. This is the milligrams of carbon per hectare per year. So you got two treatments, NS, the straw, NB is the biochar. So the key finding is the NB and NS had SOC values of 2.63 and 4.27 mega per hectare per year respectively. So significant amount of carbon was in the soil by applying biochar. Again, the locations, Northwest, North China, and so locational effect is coming. That depends upon the precipitation, temperature, the soil type. Now, if you look at here, delta GWP, what it means is that global warming potential, the difference. So delta GWP and net global warming potential in the NS and NB treatments in sub-regions. So you can see that NS, straw, in cooperation with the chemical fertilizers, NB is biochar combined with chemical fertilizer. So the global potential is the warming potential difference. Again, I won't go through the calculation. That depends upon the emission and the rate. And key finding, NB increased SOC, soil organic carbon, reduced greenhouse gas emission more than NS. So we are asking farmers to retain their straw. One of the negative side of straw application is that it increases the greenhouse gas emission. But one way is that if you got some biochar applied, etc., then you can reduce that. So again, not many studies I've done. These are all field-based studies. So let us draw some conclusion and then some questions. So the conclusion number one is biochar application improves soil physical characteristics such as bulk density, porosity, and as a result, moisture retention capacity. Number two, biochar contains most of the plant nutrients and the concentration of the nutrients depend upon the nature of the feedstock. I showed you that poultry manure, cow manure, horse manure, straw, and as the pyrolysis conditions. Pyrolysis is the process by which biochar is produced. That is the temperature and the amount of oxygen you let in. If you let all the oxygen come in, it becomes ash. So they are the things which we need to understand. Biochar application increases soil cation exchange capacity. That's absolutely an important property. Also, soil nutrient concentration, retention, because CEC is the basics of plant nutrition. Biochar application decreases nutrient loss through leaching and gaseous emission. I showed you that very clearly in sandy soil and also in clayey soil. Biochar application improves soil biological health, thereby increasing soil productivity. I showed you MBC, microbial carbon, but we have got other papers at the phylum level, whether it is the fungi, the bacteria, actinomycetes, how that varied from treatments. So the take-home message is biochar provides a multifunctional application. Biochar application improves soil health, thereby increasing crop productivity. I showed some yield and reducing the environmental impact of nutrient loss. More field studies and cost-benefit analysis is required. There were some questions about how often we should apply, what rate should I apply, will the rate last for a number of years, etc. And there's quite a lot of information available. So I will stop that there, and I hope I didn't take a lot of time. Now we will have questions.
Uh, Before we open the question, I have one question. During the pyrolysis, you also obtain certain oils. What do you do with what do you do with that?
There are for example, oil mallee, which is eucalyptus. So in Australia,
No. During the pyrolysis, you get some dark color resinous oil, bio oil.
yeah, you can use that. Yeah, you can use that. But we weren't just focused on the actual biochar product. But the
that is a side product.
yeah, companies are looking at various things. And the other thing is that energy. If we use energy from fossil fuel, then it's doesn't. So we look using solar energy. And also, what I mentioned is that oil mallee extraction from eucalyptus. They want to extract the oil, but for that they need the temperature. But that temperature is used for producing the biochar. The other one I didn't show is that the sugar canes, what is called
Bagasse.
bagasse. A big amount of bagasse is produced in India. And the other one is, if you look at the oil palm industry in Indonesia and Malaysia, which is the largest producer of oil palm. So if you have seen the oil palm, some of you, it's a huge bunch. It has got all the nuts. So you harvest them, then only a small portion of the nut is used as to extract the oil. So the leftover biomass, plus after extracting the oil, there is still quite a lot of biomass. And now Malaysia and Indonesia, we are working to establish what we call the pyrolysis units. And then, because people all blame Indonesians and Malaysians for cutting tropical forest and planting palm tree, but palm oil is very important. So we're saying that why don't you have a program where you recycle that? So the value of the biochar in India, for example, Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, those areas when the rice and extra straw burned, mobile units, small mobile units provided by the government and farmers cooperative. So I got my paddy, I'm harvesting, the straw is sitting there, and the biochar unit will come, do it, and then he or she will move to the next one. I use that biochar in my next wheat crop. That's one solution. I'm not saying that's all the solution, but the crop residue burning is really destroying that particular biomass, pollution to Delhi environment, which we all suffer that, and we need to have that kind of activity as well. One way. Question, yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Hello. Thank you, sir, for enlightening us on biochar and how that biochar can be helped in soil fertility. In India, there are a lot of thermal power plants are there, NTPC and all. Lot of fly ashes are coming out from that.
Correct.
And how this from fly ash can be converted into the biochar? If is it possible, then we can directly use fly ash for enhancing the fertility of the soil also.
Yeah. So there is a lot of research on fly ash going on, but only way I can see is that ash is already gone, right? It is if you can then enrich one of the biochar with that. So you take the fly ash, you got the biochar. So for example, when we do biochar with, let's say, a tree loppings, then if I got the poultry manure, I can. You can have clay amendment. For example, biochar plus clay amended, because in sandy soils it's not clay. So only thing I can think about is that, of course, the cost involved, getting that fly ash, then in the process of the biochar preparation, you can then enrich that ash depending upon the property. For example, I was talking about steel slag.
No cost.
Yeah, but it's a transportation. It is a
transportation costs are involved.
Yeah.
And they are converting into the brick formation
I
and
know.
concrete and all.
That's good.
But for a biotechnology or the agriculture scientist is concerned, we can convert this fly ash into the value-added product in terms of soil fertility and all.
So
the blending of fly ash with biochar, it may help.
one possibility.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great,
that's
sir.
what I'm
Thank you.
saying.
Thank you.
And same with, for example, we have got a steel manufacturing in Australia and also in India. When the steel is melted, it's called steel slag. Steel slag is a very bad product. Nothing can be done. So we are now looking at the phosphorus in the steel slag. Significant amount of phosphorus is there in the process if you understand the chemical reaction. We now, one of our students is looking at how can we utilize that as a supplementary phosphorus fertilizer. Again, That's the steel slag enriched with biochar is one possibility. Thank you.
Any question?
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
I'm Dr. Manoranjan Nayak, working as Associate Professor at Amit Institute of Biotechnology. So my first question is, what is the optimum percentage of biochar need to amend with soil for enhanced carbon dioxide sequestration?
So you mean the rate?
Percentage of
Yeah,
biochar
right.
with soil.
Soil. Yeah. So that depends upon the on the soil. If it is sandy soil, you may need more. But the general rate per hectare, that's what you can convert
Per
that.
kg, you can
Yeah,
tell.
per hectare. So people started with two tons per hectare, 5 tons per
No,
hectare.
sir, if we are planning to experiment in pot,
Yeah.
so you can give per kg calculation.
So I said about 0.5, 2%, etc. So you just look at a rate response and look at that. So take if whatever kilograms of soil you want to play with that, start with a 0.2, then 0.5, 1%, etc. and look at that rate response.
Okay, there is no optimum percentage.
No, because it varies from soil to soil. Second, it varies from the feedstock.
Sources.
Yeah, feedstock. And for example, you make biochar from poultry manure, right?
Yes.
You can pellet it. Then I showed you the nitrogen content is very high.
Yes.
And whereas if I make biochar from your rice straw,
poultry manure you are adding directly or you are
yeah,
making?
you can burn in such a way without producing slow burning, and then you can pelletize into a biochar. So, but you can add if you want to, or direct biochar as well.
Yes, we can use direct poultry litter
Yeah.
because that is very good
Yeah.
nitrogen.
Yeah. Only
source.
thing is that when you apply raw nitrogen, poultry, there is a lot of emission happens quickly. Whereas the biochar, when you convert that, it stays as a carbon for a long term, as I mentioned. That is the only advantage. But we always like to have, for example, rice straw, which is very low in nitrogen. Carbon is higher, carbon nitrogen ratio is wider. And if you amend a rice straw with the poultry manure, so the combined biochar may have a big.
Yes, amendment is always good.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So my second question is, people are using hydrothermal liquefaction also.
Yes.
So what, from which method we should follow to get a better biochar for improve productivity as well as improve carbon dioxide sequestration?
So I think the main thing is the convenience. Pyrolysis is the best method when compared with the large scale operation, because the other one, can take a significant thing. So as far as we are concerned, pyrolysis is the best method for biochar preparation.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Last question.
Sorry, yeah. Add that.
Mike, I have question.
Those biomasses having high
Lignin
and liquid content.
Content.
In the biomass.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But pyrolysis is generally used for those biomasses having low
moisture.
Right. And if you want to calculate the most of all these things, generally pyrolysis take place like 400 to 500 around 500
degrees.
HPL is somewhere around 200 or 190. So the cost of electricity will
reduce. Yeah. But again, what we need is that we need to look at some of the other side products, because a lot of the products we need the heating. So we use that heat for generating the biomass pyrolysis.
Yes, sir. Sir, can you please tell when we are adding biochar, it increases the alkalinity of the soil?
pH of the soil.
So pH of the soil or alkalinity of the soil. So why it is? What is the composition in that biochar?
So the main thing is that it changes the cation exchange capacity. That is the main reason why the pH is changing. Because if you look at low pH soils, the cation exchange capacity is low. So and it's again interaction with the aluminium and in the case of acid soil. So that is the main reason.
So that is the reason why carbon dioxide is sequestered more?
Yeah, no. The carbon dioxide sequestration is two reasons. One is the carbon itself there in the biochar, and it is not mobilized faster. Whereas, so that's one reason. The second reason is that the whole carbon in the soil plus the cation exchange capacity all improved. So, for example, nitrous oxide emission will be more. Of course, this is a greenhouse gas, not directly CO2, but CO2 equivalent. So, changing that, when you put the ammonia fertilizer and the loss of a nitrous oxide is much higher without biochar. So, the whole chemical properties I mentioned, physical properties of biochar helps that. Cation exchange capacity, then the liming effect, which I mentioned, all that can help.
Okay, sir.
Yeah,
So
and
that means
then the last one is leaching, because there's a huge amount of leaching loss going into the from nitrogen, phosphorus, and to some extent potassium. I showed that leaching can be reduced.
yes, it is not directly sequestering carbon dioxide from the air.
No, no, no. But indirectly, the microbes also comes into play, and also, for example, a lot of the rice straw, for example, with a large lignin content, the carbon-nitrogen ratio is wider, and hence their degradation is less. And whereas in this case, the microbial activity improves, and there will be a lot of turnover of carbon, and some of this carbon then gets into the what we call the sequestered carbon. So the long-term effect, because all carbon is not sequestered. I'm talking anything about 25 years is a sequestered carbon. Other carbon comes in the cycle. So in a system without biochar, the carbon cycle is faster and you could have more escaping. I showed you with the straw only, NS. Then when the biochar is applied, the retention of that carbon, reduction of the greenhouse gas is reduced. So the net effect is a GWP, global warming potential, which we have worked out in the rate is reduced.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Great
you.
lecture.
Again, but the microbes comes in. This is why so much happening. So and the pH, cation exchange capacity, absorption, I mentioned all depending upon those things. Yeah. Now it's good, but a lot of those deals are made in the paper. For example, we asked the farmers to apply simply straw, but that straw may increase the CO2 emission. But if I put a simple little bit of biochar and a little bit of nitrogen, so the carbon-nitrogen ratio, what I call ammoniated straw technology, and then it becomes totally different ball game. So, yes. Yeah.
Gypsum and pyrite can be applied in alkaline soil, biochar.
Yeah, it can be applied, but the effect of the pH increase may not be there for that reason. But for other things, it is quite useful in alkaline soil as well. But also the rainfall is important. A lot of the effect in low rainfall is different compared to the high rainfall. In the high rainfall, it may be more important of leaching effect and so on.
Sir, one question.
Yeah.
I'm Dr. Manish Kumar from AIB. So this is extension of this discussion, and in the environment you can see methanotropic bacteria, they are abundant, and they are involved in the mitigation of greenhouse gases.
Correct.
So you discussed about the methanol dehydrogenate activity or other dehydrogenase activity also.
Yeah.
So whenever they are going to convert methane into methanol, or methanol again they are going to be converted into another carbon compounds, there are different enzymes that are working there.
Yeah.
So what is the impact of such biochar, whether they are going to mitigate the activity of such methanotropic bacteria, or they are going to enhance their activity? So because this is quite related to MDH. Yeah.
So basically we were showing MDH as a surrogate. So in other words, if in a I think that was in relation to the contaminated soil. So the in a contaminated soil, the bacterial microbial activity is very poor. So the biochar helps to their activity and then leading to better life, better growth. That's the main thing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. There's one there behind.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Sushil Kumar, PhD scholar. I'm in second semester of my PhD from AIB. I'm actually working on biochar and microplastics. So there is just a question about does this biochar have any seasonal effect? Like there are many crops which need specific seasons to grow.
Yeah.
Does biochar help them by nutrient enrichment in seasonal enhancement?
Yeah.
And the second question I just want to say, like, I actually work in environmental remediations, like in waste water and all. So nowadays, biochar has been synthesized from different biomass, where electronic waste are also be utilized. So I just want you to give a little information on the hazardous effects of the e-waste when it has been changed into biochar.
No, we don't. I don't know anything with electronic waste because this is not mostly biochar is based on biomass and organic. So the first question I can answer very clearly. That is, you're talking about like Rabi versus Kharif season. Sure, we have done winter wheat versus summer maize in China. So they start with the winter wheat or spring wheat, and after the harvest, it comes into maize. We looked at application in the winter phase, then its effect, residual effect on summer maize. It's there. So basically, what we're saying is that it's not a magic mantra for just there. It is the change in soil physical, chemical, and biological activity in summary, and that is carried forward, and you will see that the pH of the soil, which was acid, becomes neutral, the cation capacity is increased, and so on. But your nutrient retention, for example, is increased. Loss of nutrients has reduced, and on the top of that, the carbon is stored, and also slowly some of this carbon will be released. The microbes will become active. All on a sudden, SOC, which I showed, MBC, all are increased. So better soil health, soil structure is maintained, better root growth, better water retention. It's a compounding effect of all that. Then biochar plus chemical fertilizer, we have done studies. Biochar plus organic matter. So the chemical fertilizer is important for us, but we know that it is causing into acidity and so on. But it's better than just have chemical fertilizer. Biochar, you can't have biochar alone, but you still need the nutrients. And the synergetic effect of biochar plus chemical fertilizer is there. So these things can vary from crop to crop. But I also mentioned that mean annual precipitation, MAP. Then I talked about MAT, mean annual temperature. The operation of these things depend upon the temperature. For example, if you have a C4 plant, which is maize, as opposed to C3 plant, for example, wheat, although they don't grow at the same temperature regime, the activity of the C4 plant will be faster and they can produce a lot more biomass faster, photosynthesis will be higher, etc. So, but the effect varies from place to place, the soil type. Once you understand that, then we can. Then I mentioned somewhere the paddy soil got huge impact because the paddy soil has got problems such as anaerobic conditions. I'm talking about not upland, methane problems. We talked about compaction, what we call the hard layer compaction. Roots cannot penetrate. Porosity is very poor. Bulk density is low because it's just compacted. So all those things can help. It's one of the tools. Again, I'm saying that, but it is something we can do for the environmental benefit of the globe. And it is not a magic thing. We need a lot of technology on that. Only thing is that the energy and also the pyrolysis plant. I'm sure that there must be some pyrolysis plants in India. Manish may be able to tell about that. But I think the mobile pyrolysis plant is the way forward. Small farmer holders in a village or a district, the mobile units can move from one place to the other.
I have a very stupid question.
Yes, that's all right. Questions are always the good questions.
Why coal has been removed from the charcoal and it has become char?
Coal has been removed
from the charcoal and it has become biochar. Is to make it more green because coals are not green?
No, we can use coal. If you can get the coal, not the powdered coal, if you get the actual coal, that is biochar. That is the nature's biochar.
Yes, charcoal.
Charcoal, yeah.
Are you recommending biochar as one-stop solution for sustainable agriculture?
No.
It's a situation we can't apply biochar here.
No. I'm just saying is that biochar is one tool. But we need all other things like nutrient management, the amount of nutrients lost from, for example, India nitrogen use efficiency is, you can argue, but 30%. So in other words, 70% of the nitrogen applied for a farmer's field is lost. It's not only in India, globally it could be, for example, in China, they're concerned about it. Phosphorus, for example, mining. Phosphorus is not manufactured. Morocco, India has not much phosphorus. China has got, then US got some phosphorus. All the phosphorus in India is imported. And phosphorus only 20 to 30% of the phosphorus mined is only used. The rest is lost from transportation, phosphorus immobilization, phosphorus leaching, and environment. You got 8 rivers recently came out with huge pollution in India. So you can't blame the farmer. So it's not one solution for anything. It is one of the strategies to improve. And you can add organic amendments. We all talk about organic amendments. Where is the amount of organic matter for us to add? And look at that. If you have a compost or something, storage and transportation. The beauty about biochar is that I can store in jute bags, and it will be there. I can transport that. Whereas, can you imagine about transporting compost from here to Rohtak or anywhere else? Huge problem. And the compost has got other problems. It also emits a lot of carbon dioxide. And then you can amend compost with biochar. There you are. So again, you are somewhere middle. So I may have a compost, nicely done. I amend with biochar.
Sir, I have a very
Young
small,
students, yeah.
sir, small query I have.
Yeah.
Sir, actually, I am also working in the field of biochar, but the application is different. I'm working on some carbon material production from the biochar. So I just want to ask if I want to target some industries from where we can have the biochar, their waste product as biochar we can use. So what kind of industries can we target?
Manish, do you know any industry here producing biochar in India?
From where we can say that this waste product can be used for such
But mainly what we're saying is, but what I'm saying is that anywhere
because I think many in Haryana and
let me just
Punjab,
tell you. Yeah.
Although the biochar is produced from waste, so it started negating. We all know very well. But you should have like a lump sum cost of production.
So here I'm saying benefit analysis are required.
yes. But because some in Punjab industries, Haryana industries.
Technically, we may have multiple solutions. Technically. Scientifically, technically, we may have multiple solutions. But can we apply them in large scales? Until unless it is cost effective, it will never be adopted at large scale. This is where, so when we talk about the sustainability of any technology, we talk of 3 things: environmental sustainability, and then economic sustainability, and the social acceptability. Until unless these 3 things are qualified, no technology will see the day of the light. It will remain in the shelf.
Dot kiln and some kiln methods are being used at rural scale, local scale, where they are using these kind of waste for producing the charcoal kind of product. They are using this.
Oh, those technologies are okay. So basically what we're doing is that it's biomass, whatever. For example, it is bagasse from the sugarcane, or when you harvest the rice, huge amount of straw, right? You're doing that, having a slow burning process. That's all biochar production. It can be produced. The only thing is that you don't have the ability to control your oxygen. But for example, I was born in Kerala, India, and rice farmers, after the milling operation, there's a huge amount of rice husk, not the straw. And they pile it and then they burn it. The burning is very slow and huge amount of biochar is produced. So we are now advocating farmers in Indonesia, you don't have the machine, don't worry, you pile up your rice husk and then have some green stuff, etc. and then just have a burning, and it doesn't burn fast. And after some time come and apply some water with a hose or whatever, and this is the one they use for cleaning teeth, etc. That's a good example, and we're doing that in East Timor, Timor-Leste, which is a new country. So I have my PhD student is a professor now there. We're saying that to villagers, don't worry about the pyrolysis unit. You make your own.
Asking
Yeah.
for such kind of simple.
Simple thing. I just gave an example of the rice husk. You put it there, it will not burn fast. Have some green stuff. Yeah,
Yes.
Control.
The 100% nitrogen, absence of nitrogen,
Yeah.
that is with
Yeah.
limited
Yeah.
oxygen supply.
Yeah.
So from there we can use that.
Yeah. Then you take that and put it in the rice field. Bingo, that's a biochar. Whereas the absolute burning, you only get ash, and that ash is useless.
We first extract the rice bran oil from it, then
Yeah.
we make the
No, I'm not saying the bran. I'm saying the husk. Bran is on the grain. That's a different thing. I'm saying after milling, the husk is so much, huge amount of husk. I've seen that.
Many these biogas plants type things are also being established in Punjab,
Yeah.
Haryana, these kind of areas.
For example, yeah, that will be a product. Yeah, there will be product biogas. There will be biomaterial.
Having biochar
Yeah.
is a waste product.
And cow dung, for example, it is used for burning, cooking in India.
Yes.
But it's the same thing. If not burned fully, then you got the biochar. Yeah, you can. So I'm not saying you need the.
Yes. That's-
Yeah. So
Biochar is one of the major chunk in that like a scale up of.
See, for them, that is waste.
now this one will be easy because there is no pyrolysis unit.
That you all are working on a meta-analysis of most related
Cost,
and now
yeah.
like. So what I just came to know is that the average cost of biochar across the country is somehow $2 per kg. But if you take the scenario of India, the 10 pkm fertilizer cost is 50 rupees per kg. So who is going to purchase that $2 per kg biochar? 200 rupees. 200 and in India $0.5.
But that is being produced by proper pyrolysis
Yeah.
method, in 100% nitrogen environment.
What she's saying is that if you use the local technology, you can.
See, but actually maybe we can look into that. If I take 50 grams, 500 grams of nitrogen fertilizer and then mix with like 100 gram of biochar, so that will be more effective than the biochar alone and blending biochar fertilizer because it's act like a slow releasing fertilizer.
Yeah.
So it's a stop the leaching.
Yeah.
You don't have to the next year में आपको nitrogen नहीं डालना.
Actually, I'm using.
You can have a combination of NI with biochar.
Yes.
But I want.
Yeah, but the problem is a lot of the NI fertilizers are very expensive, extremely expensive. Yeah, but it is there. But in practical terms, if you go and buy, it is expensive.
Indigenous method.
Yeah.
If we can have indigenous way of producing the nitrogen NI, then it will be
Sure.
Actually, I want to modify that biochar further to produce some functional, some value-added carbon material.
Yeah, but
which are synthetically.
but there are we can use in building materials, for example, the biochar which we cannot use for various reasons. For example, heavy metals, PFAS. If you apply PFAS, then that's a problem. So they can be used in brick manufacturing, road laying underneath. So there are various ways. There are, you can quantify the biochar. The good factories in Europe and other places, they have got the nutrients, pH, contaminant heavy metal. We routinely look at it. For example, our students will always look at what is the heavy metal content. Exactly. Yeah. Certification. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
concentrate हो गया ये तो चाहिए.
Yeah, but
organic, the polyaromatic.
we have. So, madam, we have standards in internationally. That standards is given, and if the biochar doesn't fit in that standard, for example, you cannot apply in organic agriculture because then your certification goes down. All those things are very easy to do. I think for India, one simple most thing is that huge amount of biomass is produced and it is burned with matchstick, whether it is the sugarcane trashes, whether it is the rice producing area, and yeah, so there's environmental pollution and CO2 comes in, smogging. So it can be done, but it has to be a government facilitated process, mobile units, and then work with the farmers. Meanwhile, you can do indigenous technology. I'm sure that farmers can do all that kind of thing, which is what, and that's what I say, integration of the whole technology. And then reducing nutrient losses, improving the efficiency, better soils, not just a magic wand saying that this will yield increase this much. And ultimately we're saying that we want to get into that 2070 or something net zero or closer to net zero. We'll never reach net zero anyway, because we are all driving cars and going around. It's like electric cars. But where is the electricity coming from the car? It's from coal burning. Of course, when they're driving the car, you don't have the emissions. Yeah, that's a good advantage. So, any other questions from this side?
Student side.
Yeah, students in particular. Yeah.
So, sir, I'm a research scholar. First of all, very interactive session. Thank you so much. I want to ask for your opinion on whether microbes or microbial inoculants can be used with biochar for large scale applicability, or is there any limitations which needs to be first addressed?
Very good question. The simple answer is yes. So we have many studies looked at what we call microbial consortium. So some of them are phosphorus solubilizing bacteria, trichoderma, which are very common in India. Basically, biochar is a carrier, right? And what the carrier does for pH, EC, and microbes love it. They need moisture. They need aeration. So biochar plus microbial consortium, because not one microbe, that will enhance. Biochar plus nutrients, biochar plus clay, biochar plus other soil amendments, humate, humic acid. We're doing studies on that with the students. And it is just basically we're saying that it improves the soil condition, if you like. That helps the microbial thing. So the effect may be synergistic, better effect. Yeah.
Sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm Karthikeyan from MIT Institute of Organic Agriculture, Associate Professor. I have a couple of questions. Have you used BNA lines? For example, it is also having the effect of biological nitrogen inhibition.
Yeah.
Have you tested these lines along with biochar?
No, we haven't. Only thing I can say is that we have done, one of the PhD students is looking at different amendments, including biochar plus urea, which is straight away. Then in this case, she's also looking at some of the slow release fertilizers plus biochar. And the data, I haven't seen the full data. It shows that the biochar has got a synergetic effect for the inhibition. So if the inhibition is this, we showed that the biochar itself is not as good as the inhibitor. So, all right, nitrogen slow release. But then when we mixed, it's showing better.
Are there genes that controlling efficiency of the biochar? I mean, known genes that.
Yeah.
Gene editing can be combined.
Only thing I can say is that the microbial diversity has increased. Then at a phylum level, genus level, phylum level, it has changed. So in other words, the abundance of good microbes has increased. So that is not genetics, but in terms of the environment. For example, one of the papers we recently published on nitrogen use efficiency in wheat, there are 3 papers we've done. And this is very interesting. We looked at wheat varieties released in 1964 all the way up to 2023. So you got 1964, 1970, 77. Then we grew them in the field, in the soil, same field. Then we went and looked at the soil biology under the root system. Guess what? The soil biology for a modern wheat, the breeders have done nothing. They just looked for the yield. Enormously different than the one from the old one. So we then going and analyze that and showing that it is to do with the root architecture changed by breeding unknowingly. That is the root length density, fine root length, root thickness, and all that. In addition to that, root exudates coming from different varieties are different. So then the microbes associated that and they had benefited. And also that leads to the nitrogen use efficiency. For example, when we did the N15 work, we were able to show that modern varieties used nitrogen fertilizer better than the old varieties when we labeled the nitrogen. We also then looked at legacy nitrogen, the nitrogen which is within the soil, who is using better. We found that modern wheat is using. So
biofortification related variety and BNA.
Yeah, so it is unknowingly done that. Now we need to then target what is, if you simply breeding for high yield, no one in the past, no one looked at it, even not looked at it, but we now showing that. These are 3 papers came out with, because we all want to improve the nitrogen use efficiency in wheat or rice. That's a global mantra at the moment. People are talking about many things, but when we looked at this is very simple, so we may be able to do targeted breeding based on the microbial association. Very good.
Have you tested biochar along with zero tillage practices?
Yes. So
what is
impact? So all our crops in Australia, Western Australia, is grown under zero tillage. I have shown previous seminars. Up to 20-25 years, my farmers haven't applied tillage. So the biochar definitely helps under zero tillage conditions as well, because zero tillage conditions, all the soil physical properties has improved. So for example, bulk density improved, compaction decreased, structure improved, aggregates improved. So biochar will help to improve that further. So the synergetic effect is there. But having said that, if you have a multiple tillage system is already bad. So the biochar will also increase. So the increase in the other one will be like that because already the increase is there without biochar. Whereas in the case of a multiple tilled destroyed crop system, the percentage of increase may be very high because your base is very weak.
Another thing is Australia is one of the country which is affected by salt very much.
Correct.
So that you are using biochar, so it has the more efficiency to reduce the salinity problem.
I didn't go through that, so I showed the data for cotton and sugar beet from Xinjiang province in China.
Yeah.
So imagine the sodium, potassium, chloride, etc. We then talk about how the sodium is excluded from the root system, and that's again the cation exchange capacity, etc. The roots can exclude sodium movement.
Like HKT kind of gene.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, this side now, silent side. Here.
So it's a silly question. A very warm good afternoon. I'm Asim Singh from first year BSc Agriculture. And now that we have known the benefits of biochar, but sir, a question is emerging in my head. So how do we apply biochar in soil, as it depends from crop to crop, soil to soil, and seasons to seasons according to him? So how can we apply? What is the best method to apply on soil?
The best method and easiest method is broadcasting, right? So if I have got this field, I take my biochar and I apply. But now with the modern drills and things like that, now a lot of broadcasting is reduced in India. These are all row space planting. So in our case, what we have is that we have the machines, the seed comes in one tube, fertilizer comes in one tube, so we can use that. So ideally, I should place the biochar below the seed. Or wherever you have some small cultivation, you apply the biochar on the surface and have what we call tickling, not very heavy cultivation. So trying to incorporate that in the soil. So you can have buried, we have looked at that. You can have simply broadcast, let the nature take its course. But if you want a good effect, you need to slightly incorporate. Or you can have placed, what we call placement. So that's...
So should it be go hand in hand with tillage or no tillage?
Yeah, so this is the question asked. For me, we are now fully advocating no tillage, but in India, depending upon places, there will be some tillage. Let's call reduced tillage versus no tillage. So it can happen. So basically what we do is that before your crop season starts, you have to apply. So that's what you do with lime. And majority of cases, the fertilizer is also applied. So you treat. Only thing is that incorporating a little bit to the soil is better rather than lying on the surface. So I think these are all can be easily handled, but the main problem is the affordability, availability, and easiness of operation. Only way is that someone has to have the mobile units or use indigenous technology, educate the farmers. If I'm the researcher extension worker, I go and divide the farmer's field into two halves. This half, let him or she do exactly what we do. Then the other half, all what they do plus the biochar and show the benefit. Seeing is believing. Maybe we should do that in the proposed experiment with the UP. Yeah, very easy to do that. And I'm sure there must be biochar companies in India. You should, Manish should be able to look into it. Who is manufacturing biochar?
We can do that.
And then get some products from there in bags. We don't need to worry about pyrolysis in Amity at the moment. You can buy also small units, the pyrolysis unit, and establish that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we looked at a number of nanotechnology, including fertilizer. There are some papers we have looked at biochar application by nanotechnology. The idea behind is that nanotechnology is the efficiency at which you apply, the rate can be reduced and can be targeted. So if you have nanotechnology with certain micronutrients, for example, you may have nanoparticles of biochar. There's nothing wrong with that. There is some papers we have done that. Possible, but nanotechnology itself has got certain issues with regard to urea. There's an emerging area. It's a targeted approach. Yeah.
Any more questions? All done?
That looks like all.
All done? Oh, very brainstorming session. Big clap.
Thank you.
So I would like to say that I'd like to thank you, sir, for this very stimulating talk, because so many questions has come up, not only from the faculty, but the students have also participated very actively. So thank you, sir, for this opening the eyes with regard to the biochar. This is a new topic and this is a new research topic. Yes, I think you should take the lead in this one. So you will be the biochar man. Good, good. Then we will have a biochar mission. No, I think our founder president would like that to have the biochar mission at MIT University. On behalf of Honorable Founder President, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, I would like to extend my very well thank you for this wonderful presentation, and then it's very stimulating presentation rather. I think it really stormed our brains. Everybody was participatory. It was a very participatory lecture, which rarely I have seen in any of the guest lectures. Otherwise, generally the guest lectures are very boring. Either the students are sleeping or they are not active. So thank you very much. And so on behalf of our MIT University, our founder president Ashok Chauhan, our chancellor Dr. Atul Chauhan sir, and our Vice Chancellor Balwinder Shukla ma'am, and on behalf of all our faculty and students, I would like to thank you very much for this wonderful lecture. So to give him a big clap.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I think we have to felicitate you. Thank you. Yeah. And after this, we will have a group photograph here only. Here only. Outside करेंगे यहाँ कर ले बताइए. Outside करने के बाद, after the group photograph, all the faculties are requested to come to F2 lounge. Faculties in F2 lounge. After the group photograph. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you. That's all. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Thanks a lot. Great to meet you. Thank you. Let's take a photo. So I take all this with me. Okay. Someone has to bring it for me. So I will. Thank you very much.
The MAC is working in micro algae.
Micro algae is also. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Work on micro algae.
We all three from biotech.
Biotech.
Dr. Ravikant, Dr.
Yeah,
Manish, Dr. Manish.
And yeah, you've got to do a lot of good work going on.
We are going to conduct an international conference on February.
Oh.
We'll invite.
Or we'll see what we can do. But I think keep up the good work and then make sure that it's all written up. Not just for the sake of writing up, because if you don't do it, then no one knows. And that's what we have to do. Those things are public.